Welcome to the Gleeful Meeple, a podcast all about board games where strategy meets laughter and building an art collection is as easy as 1, 2, blue, 6, red. In this episode, we take a look at the technology that's making our hobby better, from apps to websites. We try to attract patrons to our art show in this week's game of the show, Avant Card. And you, the Gleeples, get to play along as the hosts get put in the hot seat with this week's game challenge. Your eccentric collection of avant-garde art needs a public show, so make sure you purchase art that attracts the patrons you need to make your art exhibition the best in town. Hey, fellow art collectors.
Hi, James. It's Emily.
Hey, James. Dwayne's here.
What's up, peeps? It's JK.
And I'm James. I have a colorful riddle for you guys to start the episode off today.
A colorful one, you say?
Is it off color or colorful?
Colorful.
Okay.
Full of such color.
But not tasteless and off color.
No, certainly not. Colorful dice will pave the way as you trigger bonuses with each path laid. 5 hands are better than 2. 6 to 1 and 1 to 6. Manipulate your influence as you choose. The river runs wild in this game of work. When your paths collide, you can give a smirk. Dwayne, raise the hand first.
I'm going to go with, Raja of the Ganges.
Raja. You got it, Dwayne.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is Rajas of the Ganges.
I was just waiting. The colorful dice had me going in that direction the moment I heard river. I was like, perfect. That's what I needed.
I held river till the end because I knew that
Nice.
would kind of probably give it away.
Nice.
Great job.
That game is fantastic.
It is so good.
Yes.
It's been a hot minute since I've played it, but I really enjoy it.
We need to play it more often.
I agree.
I don't get that one to the table anywhere near enough.
Yeah, it's a top game for me. Definitely play it. If you have not played it, Gleeples, it's amazing.
Okay, I think I made a life-changing decision this last week.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah?
So for years, I have said that my all-time favorite album is the Beatles' Abbey Road.
How many years have you said that?
At
Years.
At least like 20 plus.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure when I met my wife 20 plus years ago, I said Abbey Road was my favorite album.
Okay.
I think this
20
year,
years, 8 days a week.
I think this year I shifted to a different album, and it's not a new album. It's just an album that I've been listening to for the last couple of decades and finally went, you know what? I think this is better.
Okay.
I've kind of leaned into Radiohead OK Computer.
Yeah, that's Chris. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which kind of leads me to a question I wanted to ask you guys, because I know you, but I don't know your musical interests as much as I think I do. Go with the cliche question here. So if you're on a desert island, what are your 3 desert island albums? And albums,
goodness.
Emily, just so you know, are things that used to come out that were sequences of songs.
JK, I don't understand. I only know singles.
Groups of songs.
No, I'm kidding.
I can knock 2 out very quickly.
Okay.
So my first one is going to be my favorite, like the album for me where just every song is great and I don't skip a single one, is going to be Counting Crows, August and Everything
That's a
After.
great one.
Mostly because it came out my freshman year of college, and so I have a lot of happy memories tied to that. But even today, when I go back and listen to that album, I'm like, every song on here is just perfect.
Yeah.
And then I'd also go with Talking Heads 77.
Okay. James?
That's a tough one. I think for sure one of them is an album by a group called Mute Math. The album is Play Dead. It's their final album before they broke up, and it's fantastic.
I'm texting this to myself right now. Go get that.
Man, I'm tempted to say there's an album that I had an interesting youth growing up. Project 86 is a band I listened to a lot growing up, and it's what's the name of the album now? It's been so long since I've even listened to it.
What were your tastes growing up? I know you were more of a dancer.
I was. So I grew up mostly listening actually to punk and hard rock Christian music.
Oh, wow.
Would you believe it? Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. So, Tooth and Nail Records and albums and just all that kind of stuff. Ska, right? Christian ska, Five Iron Frenzy. Oh, so there's actually one. Five Iron Frenzy, probably their live album. I would be one of them. And man, come back around to me. A third one, I got to think about.
Okay, M.
Okay, so the first album, hands down, I would bring is Bo Burnham's Inside, the deluxe album.
The pandemic
Yes,
thing?
The pandemic art piece. Thank you, JK. It's so good. And I come back to some of those songs, especially on like the deluxe, like what would be the disc 2. So often that like ever since Inside came out, Bo Burnham has been in like my top 5 artist on Spotify Wrapped like every year.
Okay.
I just really like those. I really like that album. Like just like you guys were talking about, like just beginning to end, like no skips for me, or usually no skips. I think the second one would probably be Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token. That is a band that I found on TikTok or through TikTok, and they've just kind of like blown up in certain circles, and I've just like really enjoyed that album. And then a third one, I feel like
drummer's insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Sleep Tokens.
And the third one's that's just going to be really hard because I feel so strongly about the Bo Burnham one, and then I feel like there's probably like 5 to 10 albums that could be up in the third place spot. But you put me on the spot, so I'm going to say the third one is going to be Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft.
The most recent one.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And that was when that came out. I listened to that beginning to end, and there are just like a few tracks that I just like love singing along to, and like I just like the soundscapes it creates in that album, and
okay,
I just like it a lot.
Radio has gone up to my first. I think the Beatles have fallen to second, and if I had to go with a third, just off the cuff, I would say Queen, Night at the Opera.
Okay.
James, back to you for your third. Did you come up with one?
Yeah, well, I kind of named through. I guess
Okay.
the Project 86 album was Truthless Heroes, but man, it's pretty heavy to have that listening in my earlobes over and over and over again. Ooh, that's a lot. I don't know if I can name a specific album, but if I'm gonna get, if only 3 albums, I want a variety. Got the Mute Math. Got a Five Iron Frenzy album, probably the live album. I think there's another group called Over the Rhine.
Yeah.
That is American folk.
Yeah.
And Over the Rhine.
I lived in Ohio. They were really popular.
Yeah,
in
they're
Cincinnati.
huge in Ohio.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I did not ever expect you to know who they were. Over the Rhine makes amazing music. Just American folk, chill, great, amazing songwriting. Just the stories they tell. So that stuff I could listen to over and over again. So any one of their albums probably.
Well, this topic kind of segues into our discussion for the show. And I'm a little older than you guys. I'm kind of an analog guy in a digital world. I listen to albums when Spotify is out there. I play board games when BGA is out there. So I guess what other elements of the board game world and support do you guys use in a digital medium? What kind of apps are out there? What kind of tools are out there? What do you suggest to kind of bring me into the next age of technology for board gaming?
JK, I'm so glad you asked that. As the younger millennial on this panel, I feel like there is so much to talk about when talking about this. But let's go ahead and start with the one that you are familiar with, Board Game Geek. What do we use Board Game Geek for, James?
Everything.
It is really the backbone of a lot of things I use, including other apps. So it's a very important resource for board gamers.
Tracking your inventory of what you have, doing trade, acquisitions, that kind of stuff.
That's what Board Game Geek truly is, the everything app for the hobby. I think what's really important about Board Game Geek is it has like the most complete database of games.
Yeah,
for sure.
And so I just like skip Google. I'm going straight to Board Game Geek if I'm learning about a board game. Just search it in, and you'll have reviews, you'll have forums. There will be files very often where it's if you lost the rule book to a game, it's
Yes.
probably on BGG.
Yep.
Or game summaries are on the files, which are very
Mhm.
handy. There is a gaming group. I should have thought about it before.
The Gleeful Meeple?
Well, no, that is a gaming group. It's like the Esoteric Order or something. Anyway, they do a lot of different like rule summary, like really good rule
Oh.
summaries. So if I ever see their stuff for things that I play a lot, I typically print those out and laminate them. So I'll have a nice
Yeah.
copy in the box ready
Yeah.
to go.
And a really nice thing, I mean, Board Game Geek is almost, I wouldn't say the backbone of the hobby, but because it's the only place like it that exists,
Mhm.
it's also where publishers and companies go to provide, to answer questions and, you know,
Mhm.
Yes.
be part of conversation.
James, would you say it's the coccyx of the hobby?
So, sure, Dwayne,
Will you say it? I need it for the soundbite.
can you define it for me before I commit to such a thing?
You don't want to know. No.
But you know, when there's if there's a game you know posted on Board Game Geek, and it's a new game coming out, guaranteed there's somebody from the company watching for questions and answers. The designers of games jump in there because you know it's an older website, and so they still function on forum-based conversation setup.
It actually turned 25 this year,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
like in January.
I love when you're playing a game and there's a dispute over a rule and someone goes to the forums and you're like, nope, the forums say it's this way. And they're like, well, how did you know the forums are right? And I was like,
It's the
'cause
designer.
author.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
There is no greater vindication in this hobby than to like make a stance on a BGG forum and later have the designer be like, "Nope, Dwayne's right." Yes, in your face, Carmax 25.
So database, forums, and sorry, James, I think I like accidentally overstepped this, but collection status, JK,
Yeah.
James, tell me about the collection statuses and how you guys use them.
Yeah, so I mean, that's where whenever I sell a game, buy a game moves in or out of my collection. It gets updated on Board Game Geek. So at any given time, I know exactly how many games I have, expansions I have, because when you acquire a larger amount of games, it's nice to know, do I still own that or not? So you can just go look
Yeah.
at it, but you can track, you know, how long you've owned it, if you've owned a game in the past and no longer own it. But yeah, anytime I move my collection in or out, it gets updated.
And then I also use the status of available for trade and want in trade. And that usually pings people, or not necessarily pings them, but if they're on the website and looking at things, they can see, oh, I have this game that I don't want anymore. This guy's looking for it. Let me see what he's got, and facilitates a trade.
Yep.
So those are some great details about Board Game Geek, and that's a website as well as an app. The mobile app's pretty okay, I think.
It is pretty.
It's pretty okay. We love you, Board Game Geek.
But like we said, 25-year-old website. It's doing very well as an app. Knowing that, the other website we've done a whole episode on, Board Game Arena, and I think since that episode we have turned JK into a true believer.
One of us.
It
us.
still has problems, but I have kind of changed my approach to BGA, and I have found it much easier to get into games than I bemoaned in my past tirade. I will say this: it's not great for heavy games playing on your phone.
Well, not when you're driving, JK.
Even if I'm parked, playing a big, complicated game. An example that's coming to mind right now is Orleans. Orleans has multiple boards that you have to tab between, so you don't have it all on one visual field. It's challenging. That said, quick games, stuff like Can't Stop, Just One,
Lucky Numbers,
Lucky
Sea
Numbers, is
Salt and
another great
Paper.
one. Yeah, fly
Six
through those.
nipped. Yeah.
Fly through those, and it's great. I have gone from being a rigid, unyielding person standing against BGA to I think I'm in currently 20 different games
There you
that I'm
go.
playing at the moment. So
Yeah. Now, if you're wanting to do other things, so if Board Game Arena focuses, that's another way to play board games online. There's also Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, and Yucata are kind of the big three. There's another one that I don't see very often that I think is European based out of Germany. I forget the name of it.
Is it Brett Spielwelt?
Yeah, something like that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I've never used it myself, but it's
That
not-
was huge back when I first started this hobby, like in the early 2000s. Like that was the place to go and play board games. But lots of European users, so you had to have a an amount of German in order to communicate with people on that site.
Ugatilla still gets used every now and then. One of the big ones, though, is Tabletop Simulator. It's not super user-friendly.
Nope.
But that's where a lot of publishers and designers go to put together prototypes for their games. So a lot of times, if you're on a crowdfunding campaign on GameFound or Kickstarter, they'll actually post. They'll let you know that it's available to try out on Tabletop Simulator. Just as a prototype. So that's why they'll, it can be kind of hard sometimes to build prototypes of big Euro games when you're just making a one-off copy of it. You're cutting stuff up and, gluing and, all that kind of stuff. So they use that to build simulators. So it's a cool place to find prototypes.
It seems like there's also that game is available on there, but we don't really talk about it. Like, you'll have to go to the Discord server and get the files for that game. But, if someone has an interest, they can make a tabletop simulator version of it, because all it is scanning artwork and putting it into the game for the most part. There's no rules or anything with tabletop simulator. It is like taking a game from a box, dumping it on your table, and figuring it out.
So it doesn't have the AI programmed in it. Like
no, it is. Okay. It is literally just like a 3D space. Mm-hmm. You're entering into a 3D room, and you're clicking on a component and dragging it over here and then unclicking and dropping it. And it's this free-form 3D space of a room you're logging into that you can just move around components. There's some keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that once you get used to it, I've heard it's okay, but it's not designed to be like a user experience kind of a thing. But great for prototypes. So if you want to check that out.
Before we leave the website space, does anybody besides me use Geek Group?
No.
So again, it is a website where you put in your BGG information, like your username and stuff. It will grab your games and everything, but it has a lot of, it will figure out what your shelf of shame or shelf of opportunity is based on your plays. It will calculate the value of your collection.
What?
And it does fun data things like heat maps. What I love about it, though, let's say the four of us, we can make our own little group on there. So I can look at data like, hey, what is the largest disparity between how Emily feels about a game that she's rated and I feel about a game that I've rated. So there's a lot of fun little community things.
How have I not heard about this? And
how
have we not created this group already?
Well,
I think you have.
I think I proselytized it back years ago to this group. We've got a small group on there. I know Dylan is on there. A friend of the show, Dylan, is in our little group.
Because we also used it.
I can't remember.
I don't think I am.
I think you are, because I remember this message because you used it to see which game had the most copies in the group, and therefore I
think I did use
breaking that rule of 2 or whatever.
But yeah, it's a really great little website if you're a data nerd. It's a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it.
Oh yes,
I love
100%.
the idea of another website calling me out for my shelf of shame.
Yeah,
definitely, definitely need that in my life.
I know where my pain points are.
Okay, so leaving the website space, we have apps.
Websites.
JK, do you use apps on your phone?
I do have apps on my phone.
Do you have BG Stats on your phone?
I do, and I use it religiously.
Okay, good, because
obsessively,
this
crazily.
is
You're
just
also using that thesaurus app.
BGG is the everything app for board games. BG Stats is a great companion app to BGG. I use this. It has it in the name, Stats. I use this to log all of my plays of games. And me personally, I manage my collection status through BG Stats. It'll auto sync with BGG as long as the username's all there, whatever. And we've used this for a few years now. I think Dwayne and JK got me hooked on it. There is kind of a lifetime, once payment, but the features, they are so good. It is such a robust app. When you log a game, you can log what kind of expansion you may have played with it. You can log what board you used. So think about Heat, where you have a USA map, you have a France map, you can log. And so then you can look back and be either when was the last time I played it? Really think about your shelf of shame, or which scenarios have we not done on this game, which I find super fascinating.
Yeah, you can log, you can time how long your games are.
Yeah.
You can, of course, have a going list of players that you just select whenever you need to add people to a game. It has a player chooser. It has a way to actually, it has scorecards now that they added a little while ago. You can put location of where you played the game. I mean, just on and on and on data points that as deep as you want to go to keep track of all the data for the games you played.
The best part is meeting someone for the first time and playing a game with them and be like, could I have your first and last name, please?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've started utilizing the anonymous players feature. So if you feel like you don't want to creep them out too bad, then you can just add them in as an anonymous player. I did run into the issue where I know 2 people with the exact same first name and last name, and so I had to get a little bit creative and just...
Dwayne Red Shirt.
Yeah.
JK Blue Shirt.
I do put a lot of descriptive like first names plus like met at Village Pizza kind of thing.
Yeah. Now, also the folks that make this app are constantly releasing updates.
It is and so
Amazing.
good, like real great quality of life updates coming out. Almost every time I open the app, there's some little tweak or they've done something to improve it.
Do you think they're learning how to code by going through this app, and as they get better, they're
these
just putting
people
more,
know. They know how to code.
I was about to say, it doesn't...
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they do have some extra features that you can pay for or one-off things if you want. But I mean, the app the base app, that most of the features they release are always just for free anyway. So it's amazing just as is. But there are some extra features that you can buy if you want. The one big feature that they haven't figured out yet is syncing players together. That if all the players that played have BG stats, one player being able to log a game, and then it knowing all the other 3, let's say, usernames and updating those people's apps with that game information. So only one person has to input it. They haven't figured that out yet. And it's got to be hard as anything to make it happen. But that would be, huge.
Because that would require everyone have like a BGG username and stuff like that.
What?
One workaround they have...
Go ahead.
One workaround they have is... Once one player puts it logs the play, they can export that play file, and you can just send it to your group chat of friends that whatever, and then they can all import the play file. I know Dwayne and I have done screenshots before, but importing the play file is the easiest way to import, like especially if you're logging a bunch of things for that game. You can import the play file, and it's already there for you.
Okay. Well, yeah, super awesome app. And if that sounded like a lot, really, you can just get it and just use it to put in players and scores. And just that alone is just nice to go back and be able to look at things. And when was the last time I played this? And what's my best score at this game? And just simple stuff like that.
It's super, you can put it to whatever level of detail you want. If you want nothing more than to put, hey, I played this game, and not even put other players or scores or anything like that, that's an option. It's great. But again, because I'm a data nerd, I love putting in like just who was the start player, who played this, who was this their first time playing this game.
Yeah,
just
Dwayne goes deep.
Minutia you can put in there, so good.
Now, if we're talking about, one of the features that that I mentioned they have is a player selector. There is also another app that allows us to select players.
So
it is our way.
Yes. So if you are on Android, and this usually does work on iOS for some reason, not my phone, but you can use Chwazi.
Yeah.
Which is Algonquin for the first one.
Is it really?
No.
Oh.
Nah.
How dare you? How dare you pull the rug out from under me like that, Dwayne?
It's
So CHWAZI.
It does, I forget what the language is, but it does kind of translate to choose, like to choose.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the Schwazi. Yeah. So Schwazi is great. You just put your phone down and everyone puts their finger on it, and you just hold it there and it selects somebody. And it's colorful, and just, people who've never seen it before, they're like, what is this?
So I saw a Schwazi used for something very interesting. In December, when I went to PAX Unplugged, they actually had a Schwazi tournament where you just went up, put your finger down. If you were first player, you went on to the next round. Yeah.
Now, what's the Apple
so
version,
funny.
Emily?
So the one I use, because for some reason Chwazi does not work on my phone, or at least did not when I had it installed. So I downloaded Chooser, which I'm so glad we're recording this today.
Just so you know, Chooser is Algonquin for
What? Something familiar about all this. But I'm so glad we're recording this today because like as of like this week, Chooser got an update, y'all.
Does it have color now?
It always had color, but what James is referring to is when you put your finger down on Chwazi, your finger is a color. On Chooser, it's the background that is the color, and every finger just has like a white circle.
Boring.
So, but they did update, and you can have your Chooser with the finger. You can do a lucky arrow. So think spin the bottle type of lucky arrow, or a roulette wheel, or a flip a coin. But one downside is that there does seem to be kind of like a subscription like update that came with all of these like new things. So I am so upset because this was a free app, and now there's going to be one of those like in-app purchases. So I'm just waiting for Chooser to introduce ads, and then I'm going to be distraught. Yeah. Then I will just use like the BG Stats first player.
Hey, there's something to be said for carrying around a D20 for these situations.
That is true.
We're going to give you the coin flip. Heads is free, but if you want to get tails, subscribe.
For real though.
Can you choose edge? I mean, listen, I choose edge every time. It probably will never happen, but that one time it does, wow, everyone's going to be stunned.
But yeah, Chooser, it worked. I loved it. I just love, for some reason, it's just like, it's fun having like a little silly app that just brings everyone to my phone before we start the game.
Yeah. Now, there is another app that I see you use sometimes that I don't have available on Android, I don't think. But I wish I did have it. What's that? Score Anything.
Oh, that one is so nice.
Good.
It is.
I use it on top of using other apps when I'm scoring games sometimes.
Yes, because
are you iPhone too, Dwayne?
Oh yes.
And you're Android?
iPhone 4, 3? No.
I am.
I'm Android.
I am hard cult of
I think
Apple.
we're the Android side.
Yeah,
They're the iPhone side. We don't have the score, and I'm jealous.
Yeah.
But on Android, there is one called, I think, Multi-Counter, and so it acts...
Multipass?
Sure. And it acts similarly. It just doesn't have the fun little spinny wheel.
The spinny wheel
Score
thing is what
Anything
makes
does.
it so great. It goes up, it goes down, it counts by fives, like it slices, it dices.
Nice.
And that one also got an update. So adding your players is really easy to like customize it. So it used to be where it's like I would just input like 4 or 5 players. Now it's I can add the names as I'm adding the player, and you can change the colors and make it really cute and customized.
I know I do have some frustrations when I'm setting that app up sometimes. A lot of times I use it when we play monikers because it's easy. It's kind
anything
of
with rounds
default for two players. The way I've been using it. If I go to add players or add a new game, a lot of times I'm like, I'll just grab a pencil and paper at this point. But yeah, I would try it again with the update.
But anything with rounds, like Cat in the Box, where it's like the numbers, like you're just adding to the score each round. Yes, thank you.
Rounds,
Cumulative. It has been super helpful. And it's like, especially when we're out at a bar, it's like I'm not necessarily bringing a paper and pencil to a bar with me, trying to find a pen or trying to find a sharpened pencil. Like, it's just so much easier now that it's on the app.
Yeah.
One neat app that's kind of just its own thing is an app called Dized, D-I-Z-E-D.
Okay.
It can really help with learning games. So they put together these really comprehensive, almost interactive-ish like tutorials for games.
Okay.
And it's a how to play.
Yeah.
But it's just very nicely done, nice graphics, nice presentation. I don't know if they have a huge catalog right now.
It's kind of limited what they have.
Yeah. But it's
need to
really
try
well
this
done.
Out. I'm not familiar with it at all. So it's actually like kind of a representation of the game board, and you can manipulate.
Yeah, and a lot of them, it presents it in a way where you should be able to just open up the game and use the tutorial and start playing in that way.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that is super fancy.
It's pretty cool. I've watched a couple of them, and the only downside I could see is that, I mean, it goes at a slower pace to make sure whoever's watching can follow along. And if you're a fast learner, a fast reader, you might be like, okay, I get it, let's go. But other than that, it's pretty cool. So yeah, if you want some tutorial help, Diced.
Do they have to have permission from the publisher to use games on there, or does it fall under some kind of like, well, we're teaching the game, so?
That's a good question, Dwayne. I don't know.
If only there were a way to find out.
I mean, this is the time of the internet, but do you know what the internet is, JK?
I do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
You can actually buy albums on the internet.
Is that right?
Yes.
Oh, you can buy albums everywhere again, JK.
Actually, for the first time, I think it's the first time since the CD came out. Albums are out selling CDs
I heard
again.
that too.
Yes.
That's kind of crazy, although I can't imagine CD sales being
No.
that
Just
high
double
these days.
checking. When you say album, are you talking about
I
vinyl?
am talking about vinyl.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we use those kind of phrases all the time. We say film all the time. And we don't watch anything on
Yeah.
film anymore.
No. That's a lot of technology.
It is.
I mean,
I think there's one more category I would like to cover.
All right,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
do it.
What about games that have companion apps, either as the way to play this game is with an app,
Okay.
or an option to have an app with the game experience?
I've got a couple. I have the Final Girl app, which allows you to randomize some games. It kind of gives you a good starting base.
Oh, wait, did you not get the like little dice that let you do that in the collectible? There was one that came in a Necronomicon and one that
It's like
came
you
in a
sound
mirror.
like you're
I have
showboating.
the app. There's also one. There was one for Marvel United, but it's not updated for the new stuff. So I wonder if he kind of got the boot from that.
Oh yeah, okay. I do the same thing with Marvel Legendary. There's
Okay.
an app that will let you randomize. You put in what sets you own, and it
Yes,
will
yeah.
kind of spin a wheel and give you a scenario.
Yeah, one of the more convenient ones I found when I was playing Gloomhaven was actually a monster AI, which it basically reduced some of the confusion of how you move monsters on the board by doing it based on where you were on a digital map. So
Okay.
it was nice to have.
one of my standouts when it comes to companion apps is Chronicles of Crime. It's
Oh, yeah.
really good. Chronicles of Crime is a whodunit kind of game. You take the role of a investigator, and the base game is in London, but they have tons of extra expansions where it's different timelines and all kinds of stuff. But the main crux of the game is the board you're playing on is just a place to put down a bunch of cards. Cards represent items you're finding. It represents characters you're interacting with. And all these items and characters have QR codes on the cards. And so the entire game, you're holding your phone out over scanning. Let me scan this item, and then to ask this person, scan the person about this item, and just learn about what they know about it. And you're also scanning location cards to go to that location and start looking into the scene of the crime. And you'd think, like, man, scanning QR codes, that just sounds really cumbersome. It's not. It's super smooth,
Yeah.
works really well. And then when you go to a location and you go and you scan it to go over there and you look at the crime scene, it's actually a virtual reality scene that pops up on your phone that you can just look up on your phone or look on the screen and with your finger and move around, or they give you glasses to put on the actual phone and hold it up to your face, and it becomes a 3D scene where you're actually like moving your head around, looking up and down, and as you're doing this, you're calling out what you're seeing. And the people you're playing the game with, it's cooperative. The people you're playing the game with are going through a deck of cards to find things that match what you're saying. Like, yeah, there's a
pack of cigarettes
pack
with
of
a
cigarettes.
bloody thumbprint on
yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay, let me go through this and find a card that matches that. And then after you're done, you can scan all the items that you found and get information about them.
Okay, that
And
sounds fascinating.
Really cool. If you want a really fun companion app game that's both board game and companion app, it's one of the most flawless ones I've seen.
I thought that was going to be really clunky when I first heard about it, and the first time I played it, I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! This is a really, really cool little game."
Yeah, and they had a number of expansions. Like I said, different. They have a 3-part Millennium Series expansion where you go through 1600s, then the 1900s, and then the 2400s, and it's generational. So the characters, like the family members, are across. It's great. So check it out.
I know on occasion board games that need apps to play them are kind of a contested item in the board game hobby. However, I think Fantasy Flight has done a great job with Descent and Mansions of Madness, where they took the role of the antagonist that used to have to be a person and made it part of the app. So now
good.
everyone can play together instead of one person having to kind of be the DM or the GM for the game.
My biggest fear on those, and this is maybe my lack of understanding of technology and the internet, is when I kind of buy a game for the long game. I'm going to own this for the rest of my life. If I want to play this in 10 years, I can play this. Well, what if that company went out of business and they're no longer supporting that app, and now I've got this board game that requires the app to play with it, and I can't?
Well, ideally, once you have the app, you have the app forever. So it's more like, how much am I willing to hold on to this device that has an app that I can no longer download? Speaking of that, I still have an iPad that has Flappy Bird on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's definitely like a very valid concern to bring up, because you never know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that how it's used for Mansions of Madness. I think it's like great to have just the DM be like this automated computer. So instead of spending hours trying to prep for the game as just the GM, like, I don't know, like GMing has never like super appealed to me. I think for that reason, I'm like, oh, you just gave me a ton of homework to like run a game. When it's like, I want to play Mansions of Madness as a co-op game. So I think it's cool that the iPad or the app is used for that.
And having played Descent First Edition before the app was a choice, like, it did take a lot of prep. It was a lot of flipping through tiles to find the right one. Like, I remember setting an hour aside before we would do a game of that. It's just
when we played it a lot, it
ready.
usually always ended up being the same person taking that role, just because it just took so much time. Why have someone
Once
else have to
you knew
relearn
it.
how to
And
do
probably
it?
the owner of the game, right? So
Yes.
it's at their
Right.
house. They can
Right.
just
That's what they're having to do for the rest of the game ownership.
Yeah.
And that just sounds like not fun.
It sounds like technology's really made our hobby a little bit brighter, a little better.
I'd say so.
I love tech.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to go update my phone, make sure I'm on the right operating system.
You mean to an iPhone?
No. And then download some apps.
All right, Gleeples, this game of the show is Avant Card. Avant Card was published by Resonim Games. It's designed by Mary Flanagan and Max Seidman. Art by Ishida Banjari, and released in 2024. Avant Card plays 1 to 5 players, but it's at its most gleeful with 3 players. JK, walk us through Avant Card.
So the French term avant-garde actually refers to new and unusual or experimental ideas, but avant-card is actually a pretty straightforward deck building game. Every player is going to start with a similar but not identical hand of cards that are either a number or a color, a combination of the two. So for example, you might have a white 13 and a white 1. You're going to start each turn by drawing 7 cards from your draw pile. Once you have those 7 cards, you're going to treat them almost like a game of Uno. You want to play them in sequence, matching either the number or the color with the next card in sequence. The more cards you can get in sequence, the more money you get. And that money allows you to buy more cards or even earn awards. At the end of the game, the player with the most awards wins. Simple, straightforward, but is it fun? Avant-card.
Avant-Card. On card.
On card, sir.
I'm surprised that didn't come up during our play.
Yeah, I never. Somehow, sometimes jokes don't write themselves, I guess.
We missed out on so many puns as we were playing this game. Am I the only one who's new to this game when we played it for the game of show?
I believe so.
You were
this
the
was
only
second
one.
play for me.
Okay, so I've heard a lot about this game and was excited to try it. Didn't disappoint, really. It was an interesting.
You were so focused. Yeah, I was trying to like engage my friends in conversation, and they were like so zoned into the game, and
Strategy, deck builder.
I was like, okay, never mind. I will focus on my cards. Thank you.
Well, like JK said, the premise is simple. It's Uno, right? Match the color, match the number. Except there are some cards that kind of play with that mechanic, and to me, that was where the real concentration came in. Is once you had to be like, this card is orange, but I'm playing it as it's white, and so then you go ahead and set up the rest of your hand, and by the time you look through it again, you're like, what? Why am I going from orange? Oh, that's right, because I made this a certain color.
That's where the game gets challenging, is when you start buying additional cards out of that starter set. The new cards you are buying, many of them have special powers, which might allow you to change the number, change the color, draw more cards.
Get money.
And that's a great concept. I like that bit of the game.
Yeah, I mean, when the game starts, the first 3 rounds of play-ish are, I mean, they're kind of to the point to where once everyone has their hands of cards, you can almost just lay them out in front and then just play your hand out, because you haven't gotten any cards yet that are probably being cycled back through. They're not really affecting anything. But after you get some of those cards that cause things to change number, change color, you have to play your cards out one at a time, because they start affecting things.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes each other.
Yeah. And so the second, I would say 2/3 of the game becomes more strategic than the first few rounds of play, because it's kind of playing for you. You just look at your hand of cards and say, okay, how can I make the longest run of numbers and colors?
This is the best I can do.
This is the best I can do.
Right.
Nothing's modifying that. But man, once those modifiers get in, it changes it up.
No player interaction, right?
Very little. You do compare some hands sometimes.
Like for the New York patrons, which is the recommended first game you play with the New York patrons, it's whoever has the most 2s gets an extra $1 during the buy phase. We actually played twice. The other set of patrons we played with were the Tokyoites. And that one, it was like whoever has the most 2s gets to trash a card or draw another card.
Trash a card.
Okay. Yeah. And so it was interesting being able to play. This is like I said, we played 2 games. We're able to play it pretty quickly, and the patrons can change the game drastically. I was really shocked at how different it felt with the Tokyoites instead of
totally different
New York.
games.
It's one of the things that interests me about the game. I know glad we did end up playing 2 different patrons.
Yeah.
And how many different modules are in the game?
3.
Okay.
There's 3.
So the only one we didn't get to were the Parisians, which I have played before, but I'm forgetting how it plays.
They're just snobs.
Yeah, so to give the listeners an idea, you have the market of cards that is available for purchase are the numbers. So you have a market of cards in the middle of the table that are stacks of 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s. And you buy your numbers from that. Laid out next to those row of cards are the patrons. And there's a patron for the number 2, patron for the number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, so on. So the patron cards, whenever you play out that number card from your hand, you just look at that matching patron and see what power is being triggered. So the powers themselves aren't on the cards you're purchasing. They're just matched up to a patron card that's sitting on the table that tells everybody, hey, when you play a 3, this is the power that you get. The game gives you different sets of those patrons. And so I could see why the first set, the New York set, is the starting set, because it's kind of a feel good. You're getting extra money.
We're going to encourage you to spend.
Yeah, the second set was all about trashing cards
and drawing cards.
And so you're constantly having to because these powers are forced. So you're drawing cards that you want, but then also having to trash cards to trigger the abilities of these other cards. And so it was a way different feeling. There's no money bonuses in that patron set. It was tough.
And that's what the extra $1 here and there in the New York set helps you get to the awards faster.
Yeah.
And so when there's no extra money given, you then have to build your deck in a certain way so that when you draw cards, you have the most highest probability of being able to lay it down as you're drawing it during that curation phase. That's what I like to call it. It was the second game we had played that night, and it was a long night, and I just started losing track of what color I was trying to go for. So I felt like I never got the synergy I needed. And so, like, by the time I had, like, maybe 5 or 6 awards, I look over at Dwayne, and he's, like, doubled my score, and we still have, like, half a game left to play, and I'm like, oh, no.
Did you feel like the Tokyo deck stretched out the game longer because you weren't getting money as quickly?
It was longer for me just because I lacked this energy, but I think Dwayne figured out the strategy of the Tokyo deck way faster.
Same.
So and James as well. So I felt like it was probably around the same length of time. But if you get 3 people that are trying to play the Tokyo deck as if it's a New York deck, then yes, it's going to be longer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I say same as being in the same boat as you. Like,
okay.
I didn't, no, I did not figure it out. Dwayne did. We ended up scoring similarly in that second round, but I couldn't. I had to think totally different strategy. I don't like. I do like trashing cards, but everything in that second set was like you had to trash a card to gain the bonus that the card wanted to give you.
Mm-hmm.
I could not figure out that engine. But Dwayne did, right? I mean, the goal is every single round you're trying to play out as many cards as you can, in that set. And if you get 6 or 7, you get 1 award. If you get 8 or 9 played out, you get 2 awards, or 8, 9, 10, I think. Because is it 11 plus gets you 3 awards?
Yeah.
If you're able to get 11 cards played out in your turn, you get 3 awards, which is huge. The game, there's a stack of awards, which are just cards, that represented. And when the deck runs out of awards, that triggers endgame. And then when it's all finished, you count how many awards you got. But if you can play out those longer runs, you get more awards. I mean, that's what Dwayne was doing to us in the second game. He figured it out.
I saw some good
us.
cards on that second set,
Yeah.
so I tried a strategy and it worked out for me pretty well.
It did work out.
Did y'all have any issues with the game? I had one that I wanted to bring up.
My biggest issue is I'm not good at it.
Okay.
I think I'm, and this is kind of a recurring problem with me for deck builders, is I'm really good at acquiring the cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good at optimizing what I have.
Got you.
So
Yeah.
I felt like I was just buying at random, throwing them in the deck, and hey, let's see what happens this turn. Spoiler, nothing really good happened.
I think my only issue with it, or my main issue, is that in that late game where lots of card manipulation is happening when you're playing out your turn, you're kind of all doing it just by yourself because there's so much going on, and you can lose track of what else is going on at the rest of the table because this makes you, remove this card and change this to a 4, and you're doing it when I got to draw 3 more cards. Oh, wait, I got to shuffle my deck because my deck ran out, so let me shuffle my discard, create my new deck, draw 2 more cards. That gets me another power that, hey, guys, just let me check the rule. This means this, right? If I played it earlier, and like all of a sudden what should be a simple little, play 8 or 9 cards out is pretty complicated. And then what else is happening around you at the same time. So I think that could be, that was my only issue with it, is in the late game, that can happen a lot. And at a certain point, you kind of just trust that everyone's doing things the right way.
Yeah. That's what the downtime kind of in the late game can be tricky if you and your friends have like just struggled to like stay focused. We had a moment. So it's a progressive first player movement. And so there was a round where Dwayne was first player. Took your turn.
Decided to go ahead and get my cards ready for my next turn.
Yeah.
But then did not pass the button when it came to me, and immediately got excited and immediately
took another
my turn. And then we didn't realize it for until maybe the next turn.
Right.
And at that point, it was like, we can't reset this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like each round is supposed to be played like, okay, phase 1, simultaneous, by phase, go by turn order. And we just hit a point where it was like, okay, well, I do want to be ready for the next round. And like, especially if you think like you need to think more about what your cards are, but that can get dicey and you can lose whose turn it is pretty quick that way.
Yeah, because you'll finish your turn and then go ahead and draw up and just wait. So you have your next hand ready, but it can be a little while in the late game.
And weirdly, I don't think the downtime is much more than any other deck builder. But a lot of deck builders have a little more player interaction. And so, you might have to discard a card or play off of what somebody else is doing. And there is just none of that.
And so that's where, like if you're looking for a little bit of a simpler deck builder, this is definitely like in the running, and I would definitely recommend it. But if you want more of that player interaction, maybe a little bit more complexity, then go for something else.
Yeah, well, I'll say, I mean, unlike a lot of modern deck builders that, combine the deck building aspect and a board game aspect, This is just going back to being a pure deck builder. There's no board game happening here. There's no player tokens. I mean,
there's a couple tokens, small ones, right?
Mm-hmm. Coins, the gem,
coins,
and the
counters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but you're not like moving a piece around a board or anything
Right.
like that. You know, so I mean, this is a pure deck builder just with cards, with some coin tokens and some things like that. But so yeah, you're not getting that extended experience that a lot of folks that might be new to the hobby are used to with deck builders that bring in the board game stuff.
And when you say just cards, those cards are pretty, and the packaging
so
is
The artwork
pretty.
is
Let's
really
talk
well.
about
really
that
well.
packaging real quick.
God, that is so cool.
So neat.
My favorite packaging to date.
I think so.
Because so you have your box of the patrons and the
Emily's
box
using hand
of
motions, which is carrying over really well. For
I
her.
know. It's helping me think, I promise. You have the box of the patrons, you have the box of the starter decks, and you have the box of kind of like the marketplace. All three boxes unfold, so you have your marketplace positions of your 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards ready to be bought in the marketplace. Or your starter cards, it's like, that stack is one person. None of this trying to like fish out, does each stack have like the right amount of cards, blah, 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 whatever. It is all right there. And when you're done with the game, you put them all back in their places, fold them back up.
Yeah.
They fit so neatly into their box, and it's just small, compact, great travel game, great to bringing out to our events or venues.
I've
love
never
it.
seen anything organized like that as far as a board game, and it's
feel like
really clever.
whoever designed this has to have a background in engineering. Has to.
Yeah, it's good.
They're like, how can I over-engineer packing cards
Yeah.
into a box?
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, but the nice thing is that it actually is functional as well. Like Emily mentioned,
Super
it just
functional.
makes playing it. So you just open it up, roll it out, quote unquote, roll out the boxes, and everything's where it needs to be. So it's pretty great.
So let's go around and let's give it the old Gleeful Meeple podcast rating. Are we going to yield?
Keep it to play or trade it away?
I have now played this twice. It is not in my collection, but if it ever does make its way into my collection, it is a keeper for me.
All right.
This for me is in my collection, and it is actually a keep it to play. I want to try the other module.
Mm-hmm.
The second one didn't feel good when I played it, but I just didn't figure it out. So even for the detriments that I have about the late game being a little bit long-winded, I guess you might say, and clunky, just because it gets kind of I can't think of the word.
Je ne sais quoi.
Dense. It gets really dense at the end. Even with that,
Like a baguette.
I'll keep it to play.
It's dense like a baguette.
Yes, it needs more air in the baguettes, air in the dough. Keep it to play for me.
I am going to keep it to play. I would love to just one day sit down and just play all three modules all at once. Really just compare them back to back. And love to see how, if my brain can switch over strategies at all a second time through. There's also a solo version. I'm looking forward to trying that out. I can't remember if it's one of those just like try to score as many points as possible or what, but I would just love to try out the solo version as well.
I'm going to keep it to play, but for me, it's going to be like an on-the-bubble game. I want to get a few more plays in on it before I make a hard decision, especially since we have one more city to try out. Are you allowed, it's your game. You can do whatever you want to with it, I guess, but can you mix the patrons from different cities?
I do not think that is recommended.
Okay.
Because it's a different flavor. Like we said, like the New York is all about the money. Tokyo is all about the drawing and trashing. I can't remember. Paris might be a blend of both vibes. I just can't remember what it was.
But yeah, to try out the Paris patrons and give the other ones another place. Yeah, I'd keep it around for a hot minute. It's since we played two games, I actually forgot the game that counts
was our first
where were our rankings
New
on
York
that?
Game. Where were our rankings?
I know where my ranking was.
I know where my ranking was.
I had some work to do.
It was my best game that I've played because I feel like I figured it out.
Okay.
That
So,
is right.
listeners, I won.
Woo woo!
Well done, James.
Yay.
And I took second place, which under the new covenant means
The new
that
covenant.
I am supposed to choose this upcoming game of the show.
That is right,
This
Dwayne.
is second season, so second place.
Yeah,
is making the
exactly.
game.
So what did you bring for
So
us?
here's the thing. I have a game in mind, and I can't remember. I think someone at this table may not like this game, and so I'm going to allow a veto, and I have a backup game in case
No
it doesn't
veto.
work out. Yeah, because I don't want to put anyone through.
You got a
it.
veto right here. What are you talking about?
I don't. I was waiting for it. I built it into the show. My first game that I'd like to try is Hadrian's Wall. Does anybody have any strong feelings about that game?
That I've always wanted to play it. I own it and have not played it.
Okay.
I'm a little frightened, but
Because it's a
For some reason, James, I had in my mind that you had played it and didn't like it. So I'm
No,
glad
no,
you-
no,
that's
okay.
friend of the show, Mark.
So everybody, our game of the show is Hadrian's Wall for the
Let's
next
go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Speaking of future games of the show, if there's a game you'd like us to play or have thoughts about Hadrian's Wall, Avant Card, or anything we've talked about on this episode, please shoot us an email for a chance to have your comments read on a future episode. That email address is pod@gleefulmeeple.com.
So I think we've talked enough about games and apps and computers and albums and all that. It's time to play a game on air. No, not a board game, a game about board games. This week, Dwayne has brought us something to play.
All right, everybody. We're I'm going back through the recycle bin, and we are doing aliases again.
Oh man.
So I will give you the name of a board game, simply done with synonyms, and you all will have to figure out what the true name of that game is.
okay.
All right. I think I want to say this is a little friendlier than I've done in the past, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
I don't believe you. I don't trust you.
Okay, well, yeah, that's I'm not mad about that. That just means you've been paying attention. So let's see. Let's flip a coin, and James, you're going first.
Emily was so excited to use her app. We just talked about the app to flip the coin.
And of course, I'm sitting here going, "How do we flip a three-sided
Yes,
coin?"
none of
Okay,
none of
okay.
that worked out. So
I win.
I just decided
That's
James
great.
would go first. James, I'm looking for a board game whose alias is Missing Municipalities.
Oh,
Missing Municipalities.
maybe this is a good sign. Maybe Dwayne.
Missing
Yeah.
municipalities.
This was friendly.
Yeah.
Is it friendly?
This is much friendlier than he's been.
Yeah.
The rest of
I'm
the
like I'm
past.
going like suburbia. I'm thinking cities now, but that's
Okay,
probably
okay.
completely wrong. Missing, absent, not there. Missing municipalities, city, so, missing city, or empty city, something city. It's got to be something city. Point city? No.
I wouldn't say it was missing if you're getting points for it.
Yeah. Missing.
I want to steal.
Absent city, empty city.
You can toss it to Emily.
I'll
when you're
toss it
ready.
to Emily.
Emily, what you got?
Is it Lost Cities?
Lost Cities
my God.
is correct. We'll say that's
You were dancing around.
Oh
that
my
so
gosh.
close.
1 point, Emily. And speaking of Emily, it is now your turn.
Let's go.
So, Emily, the alias that I will give you is Grove Scramble. Grove Scramble.
Is that a Forest Shuffle?
It is Forest Shuffle. Well done, Emily.
Oh.
2 points,
Emily's
Emily.
on fire.
As we pass to JK. And JK, your game alias is Rampart Blend, which is also actually the coffee I had this morning. The Rampart Blend.
Rampart blend.
Rampart blend. Oh, the ramparts.
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
What the hell was a rampart?
Blend.
Blend. Gonna have to say, I don't clearly know exactly what a rampart is.
Okay.
So I don't have a guess. I don't think. Let me think. Nope. Don't guess.
All right. Passing to James. James, any guesses for Rampart Blend?
Is it Marvel Remix?
It is not Marvel Remix. Emily?
Google over on the she's using the internet.
Is she really?
I did Google
Rude.
what a rampart
Oh,
is, and I still don't
lame.
know what rampart blend is, because it's like a wall of a castle or something. Blend, like walls together. I have no idea, Dwayne. I was on fire, but not with this one.
You were on the right track with castle.
Mhm.
I was looking for castle combo.
Combo.
Oh,
combo.
I haven't heard of that one.
That's
All
a new
right.
one.
Oh, it's really good.
Okay.
So we are still at 2 points for Emily as we move back to James for
Hit me. Or don't.
a game with the alias Galactic Confrontations. Galactic Confrontations. I got some thumbs up already. Players ready.
Well, that's not good for me. I didn't get it that fast. Space fight. No, that's not my guess. It's not my guess. Don't take it.
We're just vibing.
This should be easy. I feel like there's so many space board games.
So many space board games.
Ugh.
This one's been around for a minute.
Not Twilight Imperium. That Imperium doesn't make. It's not confrontation. I'll pass it. Just to,
All right, Emily, what do you think?
Can you say it again?
Yeah.
Galactic.
Galactic Confrontations.
Is this Star Wars?
It
A
is
deck building game?
It is not Star Wars.
Sad.
That's not a bad guess, but I think it's Cosmic Encounter.
It is
Oh,
Cosmic
that makes
Encounter.
sense.
Well
that
done.
makes a lot of
that's a
sense.
good.
All right, so that's
Yeah.
2 points, Emily. 1 point, JK. As we go to Emily, Emily, I like this one.
I don't like that
The
laugh.
alias for this game is Throw Sedan. Throw Sedan.
Like sedan, like a car.
Okay,
Is it SEDAN?
that is how it is spelled. That is correct.
And then throw,
Yeah.
like THROW.
No, like Henry David Thoreau. No, it is in fact
Thorough.
TH.
Walden
It's a
Pond.
very
yeah.
thorough answer, Dwayne.
Throw sedan. What is sedan?
Well, back in the old days, it was
It's a car. But also the game that's coming to mind is actually Toss Across,
Toss Across.
which is a
That would be Throw Jesus.
vintage game. Toss a vehicle. I don't know. I'm gonna have to pass.
JK, what do you think?
you're going to kick yourself.
Oh no.
It's Pitch Car.
It is Pitch
Oh.
Car.
Oh, I haven't played
Jeez.
that one, so I'm okay.
All right. 2 points, Emily. 2 points,
Pitch
JK.
though. Yeah.
As we go to JK for the last one of the friendly round.
Oh, no.
man.
All right, JK. Repair job.
Repair job.
Repair job.
Easy. It's a repair job.
It's a repair job. It's fix it. Repair job.
Man, I was so confident too.
This is the
starting
easy
this
round,
game.
you guys.
That's
Do
right.
you have this?
I do not.
Okay.
No.
I was like big words for someone
I'm
with
with you on
0
fix.
points.
Fix.
Job?
I don't know.
This I know this game can be challenging because you want to talk it out, but you also don't.
Yeah,
want to.
yeah,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
makes for really great podcasting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll talk it out. We got fix work, fix
Okay.
work, fix career, fix
What is it? The
repair men.
repair job?
Repair job.
Oh, I know it. It's Fix-A-Culture.
Fix a culture.
Is a repair job like
I'm gonna fix it over to Emily.
Okay. Emily. Repair job.
is the board game one word or 2 words? Can I ask that?
You can.
Are you gonna answer it? Repair
For someone tied
job.
for first, no, I'm not answering that question.
No.
For me though, what's the first 6 letters of the game, of the name of the game.
Operation.
James was very close when he came up with work. What I was looking for is patchwork.
Oh. We all said in unison with eyes aglow.
Maybe like men job.
We are
easier.
If it was easier, it wouldn't be as much fun for me.
For you.
All right. James is taking us into the challenge round.
Oh, fun.
Good luck, James. James, for you, I have a game.
I'm with you.
Alias is Jester Nimrods.
Gesture? S-T-U-R-E?
Jester.
Jester, okay.
Jester.
Jester
Jester.
Nimrod.
Jester Nimrods.
Rods, plural? Is that important?
Yes. I'll say yes.
Jester Nimrods. Let's see. We got... I don't know any games that with Joker. I can't think of anything. Comedian.
Okay.
Comedian. Dummies. Comedian. I feel like I'm right there. Something dummies. Funny dummies. Is that a game? Is Funny Dummies the name of the game?
It probably is the name of a game. It's not the one.
That's
I'm
my guess,
looking
Dwayne. It's Funny
for.
Dummies.
Emily, any thoughts on Jester Nimrods?
Jester. I'm in the same boat as James. I don't know of a game that starts with Joker. But I don't know about comedian. And Nimrods makes me want to think idiots. But I have no idea. I'm going to have to go with Joker Idiots.
Joker Idiots is not what I'm looking for. JK.
Nope, I don't have it. I'm
Nothing?
passing right away.
Over to JK.
So for Nimrods, I was actually looking for the more classic definition of Nimrod, which is hunter. So that
sure,
is
Dwayne. Yeah.
Comic hunters.
Comic hunters.
Wow.
Oh, Dwayne.
All right, Emily.
You were on the right track with comedian.
Yeah.
You just needed a comic.
You were getting real close.
Sad.
All right, Emily. For you, I have Serpent.
Oh, no.
When Dwayne laughs, you know it's going to be awful.
I always love when I start to read this and in the middle of the word get tickled. Emily, for you, the game's alias is Serpentine Mr. Braille.
Mr. Braille?
Mr. Braille.
Oh, my word.
Okay. Obviously, I overshot that one. I'll make it a little easier. And this one is specially formulated for you. Okay? Emily, it is Serpentine Mr. Armstrong.
No.
From Braille to Armstrong. Super helpful.
They both work.
No. Serpentine is snake-like, right?
Yes, that's not inaccurate.
Mr. would be
They call me
like Sir.
Mr. Pig.
Sir Armstrong
Okay.
would be, if this is for me, then it might be Louis Armstrong because he's a trumpet player.
Okay. I did say it was specially formulated for Emily.
Serpentine. I have no idea.
JK leans up to the mic like he's got a shot. What you got, JK?
Lupin Louie?
It is Lupin Louie.
Wow.
Great job, JK.
That's crazy.
Serpentine loops in a.
All right,
wow.
JK, you got 3 points, and you have the final question of the game.
No pressure.
JK, I'm looking for a game whose alias is Flop Destroyers.
Flop Destroyers.
Flop Destroyers.
It's a freezer.
Flop or swap?
Flop.
Flop.
F-L-O-P.
Flop.
I said a flip, flop.
I flip it to the
flip, flop, flop, and it don't stop until I'm going to
I
destroy.
can't come up with the answer for the destroyer.
Got my flippy floppies.
Oh, well, hang on.
Uh-oh.
That
I saw the light go off, guys. It was
If that
pretty
helps you,
spectacular.
I get half of JK's points.
No, not enough.
Okay.
I don't have it.
All right. James, any thoughts?
Flop destroyers. Loose destruction.
Oh, good try.
I
You
know.
get an E for effort.
I think I got
Capital
it.
E.
All right, Emily, what you got?
Bomb Busters.
It is Bomb Busters. Well done.
Whoa.
And that puts Emily ahead at
Emily.
the end for
With the
3
steal.
points.
for
with
the
the
steal.
man.
Well done, Emily.
It was flop. You kept saying flip flop, and I was like, no. Dwayne wouldn't talk about it like a shoe. He would talk about it like a movie.
Yes.
100%.
And that's how we
Well
got
done,
here.
Emily. Thanks for playing, everybody.
I think this is the first time I've won one of Dwayne's games. To
It
be
might
honest,
Yeah.
Way to go.
I feel very proud of myself. So did we do it?
Is that going to do it for us today, guys?
I think that we did it.
Looks like it's about time.
Well, that's awesome.
My technology is telling me it's time.
Well, yeah. Now that my screen time is at like 6-7 hours because it's I just keep PG stats open all day. I feel like I should take a break.
We should start out by thanking our sponsors for today's episode. That is Empire Records. Remember, April 8th is Rex Banning Day. That's Empire Records, open till midnight.
Well done.
Thanks for listening, everybody. You can email us at pod@gleefulmeeple.com or catch us on Instagram at gleefulmeeplepod. Come see us at an event. We are adding new ones to our calendar every single month. I feel like we're going to take over Nashville in its entirety soon. So we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Gleeples.